Parzival, Chapter 2, is called Parzival. As hard as Parzival pressed her, his poor nag could not gallop. Indeed, she could hardly toddle forward without stumbling. The day grew old and the shadows long, but the boy rode on. "God keep you!" he called out to everyone, knight or peasant, greybeard or child. At last the boy felt nearly as spent as his poor beast. He came upon a house where there shone a light at the window, and knocked upon the door. A surly face appeared. "God keep you!" the boy said. The man would have slammed the door in his face, except that Parzival thrust his javelin in the crack to hold it open. "Kind sir," he said, "my horse and I are very tired and hungrier yet. Would you give us a meal and lodging?" "Give?" the man snarled. "I give nothing. Show me a coin before you dare ask favors." "I have no coins," the boy answered, "but a good lady gave me this," and he held out the gold brooch he had taken from the Duchess earlier. "Ah," said the host, "come in, gentle sir. We will give you food and bed and send you on your way quite satisfied." He reached greedily for the brooch, but Parzival held it tightly. "If you will give me food and fodder for my horse and a place to sleep, and tomorrow lead me to the court of the one called Arthur, this brooch shall be yours." "It would please me to take such a handsome boy to the round table," the man said. The next morning, before daybreak, Parzival roused his host. The boy was so eager to get on his way that he didn't even wait to take breakfast. They rode together until the great city was in sight. Despite his promise, his host refused to go farther. "Won't you take me up and introduce me to the king?" Parzival asked. "No," the man answered. "I'm only a poor peasant. Those grand knights will despise me." So reluctantly, Parzival gave the man the Duchess's brooch, and rode along toward the city. In his sackcloth and rawhide and riding breeches, astride his broken-down nag, he made quite a sight on the road. Beggar children followed after him, shrieking with laughter. "God keep you!" Parzival called to them. Just then a knight approached. The knight was dressed in red armor. He carried a bright red shield and rode a great sorrel horse, as near to red as a horse can be. In his hand he carried a beautiful goblet of burnished gold. "God keep you!" Parzival said. "That's what my mother told me to say." "You are a good lad, who does honor to your mother," the knight answered. "I see you are on your way into the city." "Yes, I am going to Arthur's court to ask him to make me one of his knights." The red knight looked Parzival over, from his sackcloth and doublet to his cowhide buskins. He could hardly keep from smiling. "In that case, I would like to ask a favor of you." "Gladly," the boy said. "Do you see this goblet? It is from the king's own table. I went to the court to claim my ancestral lands, and," the knight paused, "carelessly snatched up this goblet. In doing so, I spilled wine on the Lady Guinevere's gown. Say this to the king and those in the court, that the Red Knight is sorry to have insulted the queen by his carelessness, and if any man among them should care to retrieve the king's cup, I stay here waiting for him to come." Promising to relay the Red Knight's message, Parzival went on toward the city. By the time he entered the city gates, he had drawn quite a crowd. He feared for his little mount, who was being shoved this way and that. She stumbled to her bony knees more than once, and each time she fell, Parzival was forced to dismount and pull her to her feet, as the mob roared with laughter. When the raucous procession had forced its way into the courtyard of the castle, knights and nobles came tumbling out of the doorways to see the cause of the disturbance. Parzival called out to them all, "God keep you! That is what my mother told me to say!" He had to yell to be heard above the jeering of the crowd. "But which of you is Arthur? I see many Arthurs here. Where is the one who will make me a knight?" I won it. A page about Parzival's age. Took pity on the boy. He ran forward and took the reins of the nag and bade Parzival to dismount. "The king is not here in the courtyard," he said. "I will take you in to see him as soon as I have stabled your horse." "My mother bade me give a special greeting to Arthur and his lady," yelled Parzival, still trying to make himself heard above the noise of the crowd. "And I have another message as well. A knight that I met outside the city says he is waiting for someone to come and fetch the king's cup. Can that mean he wants to fight? Oh, yes, and he's sorry, too, that he spilled wine upon the queen. He was dressed in red. I wish I had such armor." Iwanet grabbed Parzival by the arm and dragged him away from the hoots of the crowd and into the castle. There the mocking ceased, for those within looked past his fool's rags. The boy they saw was of such beauty and noble bearing that they suspected at once he was the son of a king in disguise. "God keep you, sir, and lady too," Parzival said when he came into the king's presence. "My mother told me to give you a special greeting." "What do you want from me, my lad?" Arthur asked, his voice as kindly as his bearing. "Make me a knight," the boy said at once. "It feels like years since I determined to become one. I can't wait any longer. I don't ask anything of you but your leave. A knight I met upon the road into the city has wonderful red armor, which I should love to have. If I can take his, then I shan't take anything from the king." "My lad," said the king, "that knight you speak of would not easily give up his armor. He is very powerful indeed. He is making my life miserable because he thinks I have not given him his due. I can't send an untried boy against Sir Ither the Red Knight." But Arthur had a wily counselor named Sir Kay, who whispered in the king's ear, "Send out the boy, my lord. He and Ither will just knock about a bit. The boy has to learn these things if he is to be a knight." In truth, Sir Kay cared about neither Sir Ither's nor Parzival's life. "I do not want the boy to be killed," said the king, but seeing how determined the boy was, he finally gave him leave to go. Parzival was racing out of the castle when a strange thing happened. There was a princess in the court, the sister of those same brothers, Orlus and Lahalin, who had stolen the kingdom of Parzival's father. This princess had sworn not to laugh until she met the noblest knight in the land, the winner of many jousts. When she saw Parzival running out of the court in his sackcloth clothes and cowhide leggings, she laughed out loud without thinking. Sir Kay was enraged. The princess had refused to laugh at all the noble knights who had sought her favor, and now she had laughed at this foolish boy. "You have shamed this court," Sir Kay shouted, grabbing her by the hair. "You have made a fool of yourself, and of all of us by your unseemly behavior." When a young knight sprang to the lady's defense, Sir Kay beat them both. Poor Parzival was dismayed. He had no idea that the princess was the sister of his sworn enemies, but that would not have mattered. The boy's heart was tender toward any defenseless creature who had suffered because of him. He wanted to hurl his javelin at Sir Kay, but there was too great a coward for him to do so. "I shall not come back to this court," he vowed to himself, "until I make amends for the wrong done to this poor lady." And we'll pause there.